Hey, that's Fight Shank here with an introduction to email marketing for small businesses, where we answer the one big question, namely, is it worth it? And if yes, how do I do it? And what I mean by is it worth it is really the question, is it worth my while? Because let's face it, setting up email does take time, writing emails takes a lot of time, and of course there's the question of what do I actually write about? And that's really what we're addressing here. How to design email campaigns where you know what to write, and then also where your readers not only receive the emails, but open the emails, read the emails, click on your links, and ultimately buy something from you. So what I've got for you here is a link to a blog post you may find interesting. It's about all kinds of statistics when it comes to email marketing. I'll show you a quick summary of just what this looks like, so you know you're on the right pace on the page. A couple of points in here. This one is worth looking at. Email, at least in the B2B arena, email is the third most influential source of information for B2B audiences, behind only colleague recommendations and industry-specific thought leaders. So it is really still one of the most powerful sources of information where people make up their minds and come to a buying decision. I'd like you to keep that in mind. Source of information so they can make up their minds when it comes to making a buying decision. Now further on we have B2C email statistics, all kinds of interesting ones, including, what have we got here? People actually prefer to get permission-based promotional messages via email as opposed to, for example, text, phone, social media, messenger, etc. Also, it is typically more profitable. ROI on email marketing campaigns still outdoes social media and anything else out there. A couple of more interesting points, for example, down here we have one that when you use segmented email campaigns, you have higher open rates, and of course, this is the most important part, much higher click-through rates. So segmentation is very, very important. Again, I'm going to show you how to do it, but also why that is, why they are so powerful. And then later on in that article, you can have a look at all kinds of statistics, different markets, of how different markets tend to do well or not so well with email marketing. Anyway, that as an aside, I've highlighted a couple of points here. The first one is the one I mentioned before. It's a source of information. We live in an age of pull marketing, where the consumer is in control and they demand that you provide them with information they need to make up their minds. So they want to get information as opposed to you pushing the marketing message, buy my stuff, onto them. A big oversight, especially in the B2C arena, is that a lot of people use their email marketing purely as a sales tool. Buy my thing, buy my thing, buy my thing. They don't use it as a marketing tool, and that is a massive, massive oversight, because as you will see in a second in the example I have, very few people are ready to buy now. The vast majority of people will be ready in a month or 2 months or a couple of years down the line. If, however, you scare them away with non-stop pitching, buy my thing, buy my thing, buy my thing, they will not consider you as a trustworthy brand. And that is one of the biggest trends of 2019 and beyond. And there's plenty of research behind this. Inc.com, Entrepreneur.com, McKinsey, they all do a lot of work in this area, and they all find this one thing. The trend, the big push is towards pull marketing, where people get the information, they are in control. So brand building is a massive, massive area where you can do very good work with email marketing. Sadly, most entrepreneurs, most small business owners use email purely as a, hey, here's my message, here's my sales message, here's my sales message. And of course, along with brand building goes customer retention. Email is one of the best tools for customer retention. Almost from the point where people buy something, you can follow up, you can figure out where they're at, are they getting the results they were after, how else can you help them? And then in the long run as well, brand building, referrals, testimonials, success stories, supporting them, etc. All of this, and this goes back to the pull marketing, Seth Godin introduced this concept of permission-based marketing, and the trend is stronger and stronger and more powerful and impactful when you have someone's permission they are more than happy to look at your message. Sadly, most business owners look at permission-based marketing in the sense of, hey, you subscribe to my emails and newsletter, and hence I will pummel you to death with my offers. Buy my thing, buy my thing, buy my thing. And guess what? You get lower and lower open rates, you get higher and higher unsubscription rates, you get spam complaints, because one-off permission does not mean you have permission forever and ever. And in this video here, I'm going to show you how to do this properly. Of course, they buy more, which is awesome. And all of this is based on this one simple concept of using segmented email campaigns. So in case you're wondering what a segmented email campaign is and why should we be doing it, let's go and have a look at that. So the underlying principle, really my philosophy, is that email is controlled communication. Uncontrolled communication, in my opinion, is content marketing. It is social media marketing, where you randomly put stuff out and then people either consume it or they don't. You never know who reads your tweet. You never know who happens to bump on your Facebook post or whatever. With email, it is controlled. It is, first of all, sequential, which is very, very important, because, as you know, for almost every single purchasing decision, apart from impulse purchases, the average person needs between 7 and 20 touch points, if you like. 7 to 20 times being exposed to your marketing message before they go, yes, that is the one. And that has nothing to do with stupid, simple repetition and persuasion, but also because in between they may go away and do some research or ask their friends, get some social proof, read up some case studies, do some comparisons, all of this kind of stuff. And that's why we have these 7 to 20 touch points. The reason it's not only sequential but controlled is because you can go out and observe and react. Observe how people engage with your messages. Where do they show a lot of engagement? Where do they show hyper engagement? So you can then follow up in the right way. If someone is hyper engaged and they read your blog posts and they click on your links and they reply to your emails, you know they are really, really interested in what it is you've got. As a result, you can and you should react in a very, very different way from someone who saves up your emails, reads them once a week, and then may or may not click on a link. And all of this is done with segmentation and automation. And later on, I'll show you some examples of how to do this properly. But really, the idea is to track automatically who engages with your emails, who clicks on links, who responds, and almost give them some scoring. Anyone who engages a lot gets a high score, and as a result you get a flag, hey, this person here is highly engaged, they're interested in what it is I have to say. As a result, I will follow up. And this is nothing new and spectacular in business. Sadly, or let's put it this way, if you have a crowd of people and you see someone standing at the front and being eager and raising their hand and looking at you and asking questions, you know they are interested in what it is you've got. Whereas if you have someone standing at the back of your store and browsing, looking at the shelves and fiddling with their phone at the same time, they're not very engaged. So it's not a new concept, but the beauty of email is that you can control it, you can automate a lot of it, and that segmentation gives you automatically the right ones. And as you saw with the statistics, that segmentation ultimately gives you that higher ROI, the higher click-through rates, the higher lifetime value. It only works, of course, as I've pointed before, when you use permission-based marketing. Like I said, it's pull marketing. People want to give you permission, and then you serve them relevant content. And that word relevant is really what it's all about. Everything we're doing here, and the reason why this permission-based segmentation and automation works, is because it gives you the tools to be relevant. What does that mean? Well, let's have a look. Here's an example of some work we've done. Background is we used to do workshops for the sales reps of newspapers. So these are the people who are employed by a newspaper, and they go out to their local community, the local businesses, and they sell advertising space. Hey, buy a half-page ad in my newspaper. So we'd be hired to help them with their sales processes, and quite often I'd be introduced as the newbie who's learning the ropes. I'd be sitting in and simply observe in the wild how one of the sales reps is trying to sell advertising space to a local business. So on one occasion we're in a luxury luggage store, And the conversation went something like this here. Hey, Mr. owner of this luggage store, I have a wonderful special offer for our ads. If you buy one ad, you get not only the color one, but you also get an editorial. And the luggage store owner responded by something along the lines, that's all very well, but how do I make sure the quality of my luggage store is being conveyed in these ads? 2 for 1, I don't care, but I want to make sure that this store I'm very, very proud of, and I have clientele who've been coming for a long time, and they're all about quality and luxuriousness of my luggage here. How do I make sure that your ads convey that message? The funny thing is, well, it's not really funny, it was sad at the time, the sales rep didn't hear that message. He thought, okay, that was just an objection. Clearly my offer isn't good enough. So he upped the ante and said, well, okay, right, I'll give you color for the price of black and white, and I'll give you 2 for the price of 1, and I'll give you an editorial on top of that. And again, it bounced back to the luggage store owner. He goes, that's all very well, but how do I make sure this... You start to see where this is going. There were 2 conversations going on, and neither party understood the other one. Now, in case you're wondering, what has that got to do with relevance? Well, let's look at a typical sales funnel. So if you look at the levels of awareness, how people come to buying from you, it typically starts with a pain. They are pain aware. They go, ooh, there's something I don't like in my life. I need to find a solution. So for example, I don't know, I can't travel to the nearest town on a regular basis. It's really annoying. So I have a problem. Now they are problem aware. Okay, clearly it is, the transport, I need to figure out what solutions there are. So they are solution aware. They start comparing. I could take the train, I could take a car, buy a car. What are the consequences of buying a car? I could buy a bicycle. What are the consequences, etc. Or consequences and implications. And then eventually, once they've decided on one type of solution, they start looking at the different providers, and that is when they hopefully end up with you. And they go, oh, yeah, you over there, you seem to be a stellar job at the thing you're doing. I want to buy from you. And when they say yes to that, well, they, euro signs, everyone's happy. Now, when you turn this around, we end up with a very, semi-famous model by Chet Holmes. If you go and Google Chet Holmes, here he is, Chet Holmes. He wrote a wonderful book called The Ultimate Sales Machine, well worth reading, and in it he has this one principle of this pyramid here. And I'll give you the quick example. It goes something like this here. Pretend you go into a big stadium with 1,000 people in it, and if you now ask everyone, hey look, who's currently looking to buy a car? About 30 people, roughly 3%, will raise their hand. They've done the research, they need a new car, they're about to buy a new car. If you now turn this question around to, hey, who's currently looking to remodel your kitchen? Again, 3%, a different 3% will raise their hand. So when you look at this pyramid, what you've got here is 3% at any stage in life, anywhere in any population, are ready to buy something right now. And then you've got about 7% who are open to buying, but they're not really actively looking for you. They still have a few questions that are unanswered. Now you start to see the parallels to my luggage store example. The newspaper guy assumed that his buyer or the owner of the luggage store was up here, and he thought, okay, he's clearly showing me objections. I need to overcome this objection by making an even better offer. Whereas in reality, the owner of the luggage store, he was somewhere down here. He's either open to buying or not looking, or maybe even not here, not thinking about it, but, maybe open to the whole thing, as long as the newspaper could make sure that the quality of his luggage store was being conveyed. And that really, this here, illustrates why so much marketing falls flat. Because most marketing, especially direct response marketing, hey, here's my special offer, here's urgency and scarcity, here's my bonus, all this good stuff, assumes that the buyer is ready to buy. It's a one-size-fits-all solution. Hey, look, you haven't bought yet? Here is urgency. This special offer expires on XYZ. Hey, you haven't bought yet? I'll add these bonuses. It's all about, hey, look, I assume you are ready to buy. Why haven't you bought yet? Let me persuade you. Whereas in reality, a lot of people And when I say a lot, as you can see, 97% are down here. They still have questions. So the one big message I can give you, the one big insight, and the one big thing we implement in practice in email is we want to be as relevant as possible to where people are at. So if people are at the 3% and they want the best deal, yes, we are relevant and we give them that information. If, however, they have questions along this level here, I'm open to buying, but not quite ready yet, well, we'll answer those questions. If, on the other hand, and now we go back to this here, if they are only problem aware, it would be disrespectful to make them an offer. They don't even know what the solutions are yet. They are completely confused. They need clarity on how to tackle this problem. And you can become their absolute superhero by helping them with that problem, saying, look, here are the different options. And if you choose to, pick mine, that is awesome. But if you choose to pick another one, that is awesome too, because I could help you. And guess what? When you help someone, and even if they then go out and pick a different solution, you will be at the top of their minds. They will remember you as someone who is helpful and respectful in their quest for a solution. I'll give you one example. Many, many years ago, I traveled to the US to visit a friend who had started university. And right next to this university campus was a small sort of mall shopping area. And of course, there was lots of alcohol being sold. And there was a waterbed store. And I assumed, well, clearly, okay, this is, sex and drugs and rock and roll. It's about partying. Waterbeds are about, having entertaining activities in your bed. Turns out, as I found out later, waterbeds are primarily sold to people with back pain. I didn't know this. Now, let's assume for a moment you sell waterbeds. So people go through this thing, they have a pain and their back hurts, and then they figure out, okay, it's clearly it's whatever, the dislocated disc. I need to do something. What solutions are there? Well, I could have surgery, I could take pills, I could go to the gym, or I could buy a waterbed. And then they start looking for different solutions, and it turns out you are or are not the provider they want. You might be too far away and the waterbed is too heavy, whatever. If you are the provider, awesome, they buy from you. But if in this process of researching and you providing great information, remember, it's pull marketing. You give them good information. If at this solution level, for example, they find out, you know what? This waterbed thing sounds great. However, when I look at it, I might as well go to the gym, do a workout, on a regular basis, and I'll be just fine. And because I have cats at home, and they probably tear this waterbed, and it's not a good fit for my home. Because you've served them all the way and given them good information, you will be a positive thing in their minds. So if someone else comes along, mentions to them, says, look, man, my back pain, I don't know what to do. They go, have you tried waterbeds? Hey, check out XYZ. Check out you, because they served me so well. They gave me good information. They didn't immediately pummel me with, buy my waterbed. So this whole thing here, this entire construct is all about being relevant, and relevance means being respectful of where people are in their buying decision cycle and giving them the information they need at that point in order to move to the next stage. And just in case you're wondering, man, doesn't this take a lot of time? Well, yeah, it takes between 7 and 10 or 20 touch points. However, this whole process can run within a couple of emails or a day or 2 days. It can. It doesn't have to be. Sometimes it takes longer. Sometimes it's really, really quick. Someone goes, man, I have this problem. They are fast decision takers. They go, ooh, I looked at the solutions. What do you propose is nice. Oh, you seem to have a great price. Thank you very much. I'll buy from you. So again, this is not a one-size-fits-all solution. Some people take a long time to make a decision. Others do it very, very quickly. With that out of the mind, that really is the core concept of this whole idea of using controlled communication, using email to control the communication. The control is along the lines of you control the flow of the communication, and the aim of this flow is to be relevant at every single point, to give people the information they need to make that decision, to either move forward or respectfully say, you know what, I have cats, waterbed, not a good idea, there's going to be water all over the place, so thank you very much, I'll do something else. So, is this worth doing in your business? I would say it is worth doing in your business if you have clients who make considered decisions, whether it's buying a waterbed, whether it's getting married, whether it's getting a landscape gardener, whether it's getting a babysitter, whether it's any bigger thing where there are implications. It's not a snack and thank you very much, but it's something where there are implications. It's also perfect if your prospects need education. I'll give you one example. My wife's into climbing, rock climbing. I bought her a rope for Christmas. I went to the store and told him, look, I know what the prices are online. And if it's within 20%, I'll buy from you. If it's more, then I'll buy online. And he said, that's cool. But did you know that when you buy a new rope, you need to uncoil it in a special way? And apparently this is true, right? So they come out of the factory, they're, rolled up in a special way, and you need to uncoil it, and you really need to know what you're doing. And he said, I'll tell you what, I'll, 20% on top of whatever your online price is, and I'll uncoil it for you in a professional way. Well, thank you very much. Done and dusted, right? I needed that education, and I was willing to pay 20% more. Because otherwise, apparently the consequences of not uncoiling your rope is that the lifetime of your rope goes down, it's always twisted, and it's not a pleasure to climb with. Well, thank you very much. So it's probably not worth doing when you have a business that is purely about impulse purchases. If you sell sandwiches and people just drive by and go, oh look, sandwich, tasty, it's probably not worth doing because, as you can imagine, with a model like this, well, there are quite a few emails to write. I mean, you don't have to do all of them. Make no mistake. You could always start with just this lowest level. You go, look, or the lowest two. Hey, here's my offer. It is awesome. Here's why you might think it's awesome. Buy my thing. And once you've got that nailed down, you go, well, let me add the next level. Solution-oriented people, And of course, the reason you want to do this is because, as you can now appreciate, only about 3% of people are down here. 7% are somewhere around here, 30% are here, another 30 are here, and then the last 30 are never to be seen. But you have a much, much higher chance of getting clients by addressing these different points in a respectful way, as opposed to just focusing on this last point. So, worth doing, in my opinion, if you're willing to invest a little bit of time and energy of setting this up, and this is something you can set up once and then it's fire and forget, because when people request a certain amount of or type of information, well, there it is. You only need to do this once, which, by the way, is a great benefit of email marketing. You don't have to have the same conversation over and over again, which is pretty awesome. So, to sum this all up, all of this is based on this one fundamental observation, namely, you have to be relevant. And this is more and more relevant in today's age, where people demand to be given free access to information that helps them make up their own minds. They want to have information so they can make up their own minds, as opposed to you pushing information in the sense of sales messages onto them. So relevance is all done by being respectful of this thing here. Where people are at and what kind of information they are looking for, and then giving it to them. That is how not only you create great email marketing, but also how you then get people to look forward to your emails, how you get them to open your emails, how to click your emails, how to share your emails. That's what you saw in the statistics earlier. People share this on social media, etc. And of course, ultimately buy from you. So this is, if you like, part one. Why do we do this? What is the underlying fundamental philosophy behind it? It's about controlled communication with the one aim, namely being relevant. Now, in the next part, we're now going to look at how to set this up in practice. What do we need from a technological or technology point of view? And also, how do we do the segmentation part, and how do you get started? That is the key thing here. It's like, there are many moving parts. What do I do first? How do I test this actually works for my own business? So let's look at this now.